Now we have
Go ahead.
now we have music with no talking.
Go ahead.
Well, that didn't work very well. I was trying to do an intro for music.
And when you do an intro, you let the music go for a second, then you start talking.
But I got carried away with thinking about the music.
Okay, well, stop thinking about the music. And
Well, I was trying to do a little piece of music that was
you want to start over.
No. This is it. We're started. This is the beginning of the radio show.
This is the beginning?
This is it. We screwed the whole thing up.
Hell of an intro. That's great.
All right, well, this is the beginning of the episode 2. Welcome to Coffee with J&C. J&C and coffee. Here it is. We were going to intro a little piece of music. Don't look at me like that. You used to do this stuff for a living, and here we've sat around here for hours trying to lights, where to put the camera, where to have the audio, when to intro the music.
And who screwed it all up?
I didn't screw anything up. I was just thinking, I was trying to think outside the box.
You need to think inside the box. That's what you need to do.
Well, you got to be, first you got to be in the box.
Yeah.
Don't you? You have to be in the box?
It's like a loop. You have to first know there is a loop.
First you have to know there is a loop. Do you have to get inside the box to think outside the box? Do you ever have to get inside the box?
I have no idea.
If anybody knows the answer to that question, do you ever have to get inside the box to be able to think outside the box? There's the question of the day, all right? So go ahead and ask us a question. We have our email on the YouTube site, coffeewithjnc@gmail.com. So if you were so lucky to watch episode 1, you were mesmerized, I'm sure. You just couldn't wait for us to come back with this one thought that Jerry he had one thought, and he wasn't able to come up with it before we ended the last episode. And it was an interesting fact about Einstein. And I'm going to let him...
Oh, I have a great quote by Einstein.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
What? Tell your wife to put a sock in it?
No, the difference between stupidity and genius is genius has its limits.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good one. That's awesome. But you want to read this one thing that you found about Einstein? Do you remember it, or do you need to read it?
I don't remember it.
You're going to have to put your glasses on? Oh, boy, this is great, people. This is great now, but he's got to get his glasses on. Just read this paragraph right there.
Einstein once declared that his second greatest idea after the theory of relativity was to add an egg white while cooking soup in order to produce a soft-boiled egg without having an extra pot to wash.
Okay, so if the person read the the Einstein Declaration correctly, it's not an egg white, it's a whole egg in the shell, uncooked, raw. Anyway, my mother actually used to do that. Not to, put my mother up there with Einstein, because she wasn't splitting atoms or anything. But she did. She used to put an egg
Now there's a compliment. I love my mother, but she ain't splitting no atoms, I'll tell you that much.
Well, anyway, she did. She used to put eggs in with the macaroni before she made macaroni salad. And cooked them all together that way, for the same reason.
Because with all them kids, and after 20 years of boiling
she only
eggs,
had one pot.
Oh, she only had a pot.
You only had one pot to cook in.
She only had one pot to cook in.
One pot to cook in and one pot to pee in.
All the food you ate. All the kids.
We only ended up with
one pot family.
It was one pot by the time all that cooking. She ended up with one. She had to use it for everything.
Well, I've seen the Nelson pot. Boy, I'll tell you.
Now be careful, salmons. Don't go home kettle black or whatever that saying is. So let's see. What happened from last week to this week? What did you do?
Not much.
That's it. You didn't do much.
I walked my dog, and I walked my dog some more, and that was about it.
That's about it.
Yep. I lead a thrilling life of long walks and my personal version of meditation.
That's really exciting. So some of us don't have that luxury of being home all day and being retired and getting to walk our dog. And I actually had something funny that happened at work. I'm a storage facility manager, and somebody called in the other day and asked if we had a small, what?
If you could store
Well, he
a
would
dead
explain.
person?
No. I'm going to explain. I'm going to explain what the person called about. They called to ask if we had a small storage unit where he could store bags of poop. And I, first, of course, like a normal person, thought it was a joke. And I asked some more questions because that's what I do to find out what size unit he might need, because that's the kind of question you ask when somebody calls.
I take it he needed a bigger unit.
Well, I didn't get that far yet. I asked where this poop was coming from, because that would be the next logical question. And he said that he is a dog pooper scooper. That is his business. And his business was thriving.
So why is he keeping it?
Because he cannot leave it at his residential pickup, because they will not, because he has so much that he can't leave it in his receptacles.
I'm still trying to understand why he wants to store it.
Well, he wasn't necessarily storing it. He was only going to store it short term, and then he asked if he could use our dumpster. And needless to say, as entertaining as it was, and I congratulated him on the success of his business being so great that he had to figure out a way to dispose of all of this dog poop, that he, oh, for heaven's sakes, that I just said, I'm very sorry, sir. That is just not something that I'm going to be able to help you out with.
I mean, in truth, it's an age-old question.
What to do with poop?
Yeah.
Will you flush it down the toilet?
What about before they had toilets? They had irrigation systems.
They had to bury it in the
They had
ground.
to bury it.
I guess.
I'm pretty sure the plague in London started because of what they did with their stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it got mixed up with the drinking water, and
There you
that
go.
causes
There you
lots
go.
of problems.
There
Yeah.
you
Well,
go.
that's still happening, unfortunately, in other countries. So, for heaven's sakes, I know that was. That's the kind of.
Thank God for America.
So yes, those are the kinds of interesting things that happened to me this week, and in perusing the internet, finding some other interesting things other than just trying to wait to see if anybody calls me at work and asks me if they can store odd things. Then did you know that it would take 1,200,000 mosquitoes each sucking once to completely drain the human body of blood?
This information is useful.
Well, I would say if you see more than 1 million mosquitoes coming at you, run. You better run, because
You're a goner.
depending on how much you weigh. I mean, they're saying an average person, so I don't know.
Where'd you learn that? The Sci-Fi Channel?
Weird Science something. I don't know. I remember what channel it was from.
How did they figure that out?
I
Who volunteered for that study?
Yeah, I don't know if they had a.
We need one volunteer to be paid well to determine how many mosquitoes it would take
They
to
got
drain
paid
your
before or
body
after.
of all the blood in your
Yeah, I
system.
wonder if they got to be paid before or after. Yeah,
I'll bet you they use math to figure it out.
they might have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
How much blood? How
We
much
don't really
of
know from
mosquitoes?
here, but it's a logical assumption.
Yeah, since I got it off a Science Channel. That's very funny.
All right, what else you got?
Let's see. So another thing, this is an interesting fact. I don't know if you know this or not, but if you drilled a hole, now I don't know if you could do this. I don't know if you're capable of drilling a hole like this, but if you drilled a hole straight through the Earth's center to the other side and jumped down the hole,
You'd
so
end up in
you're,
China.
You're busy. So
You'd
far,
end up in
you're
China.
drilling the hole,
Right.
but you're already, I don't know how you drill the hole, but somehow this hole is going to get drilled. We don't know that part yet. But if you did it and then you jump down it, guess how long it's going to take you to get there, to get to the other side?
Don't know.
Any guess? Just
I
guess.
don't know. 2 days.
42 minutes and 20 seconds.
And how did they figure that out?
I don't know.
I'll bet they
Another
use.
volunteer.
I'll bet they use.
They use that
either a
volunteer
volunteer or math.
They used it from the volunteer from the mosquitoes.
Right.
The mosquito study. So yeah, that actually I would have thought longer than that. I was
Well, in
surprised
terms of
too.
strange stuff, Einstein did at one point try to explain his theory of relativity in what he called layman terms.
Okay.
And he said that the difference between going out with a nice girl and sitting on a hot amber was relativity. What he said was going out with a nice girl feels like a second, sitting on a hot amber feels like an hour. That's relativity.
Okay. Boy, that's a great explanation. Great job with that, Jer.
I didn't do it.
Oh, Einstein?
Blame the genius.
That was the explanation?
That was
That
his.
was relativity for dummies?
Yep.
All right. Well, that's a good one.
And then he did his quote about the difference between stupidity and genius. Genius has its limits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
Welcome to our show.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Who's the genius?
Not me.
That's up for debate, that's for sure.
All right, what else you got?
I don't really have much else. I thought you would elaborate a little bit more on how exciting your life is and
I don't have
being
an-
retired and
I don't have
what
an
you get to
exciting
do
life.
all day
I
and
don't get to do anything all day.
walk the dog,
Yeah.
work on your tan. I hear you're going to go swimming.
I'm planning on going swimming once it gets at least 80 degrees out.
That'll be any second.
That'll be, should be right quick.
Yeah. So the only reason that's funny is because you don't swim. So
Right.
just in case anybody wondered why I burst out laughing after I said you were planning on
I
swimming.
swim a lot like an anchor.
Yeah. Well, I really think that we should make sure you have kind of floating device close by.
I'll just stay in the shallow end.
There's no lifeguards at the pool,
Yeah, I'll just stay in the shallow end.
Okay.
Why make a difference between the pool and life?
Okay. You're constantly in the shallow end?
Yeah.
Oh, you sure?
That's all the stupidity.
So you don't have to worry about drowning? You're not
I'm
drowning
drowning.
are you drowning in stupidity?
I'm drowning, all right.
In your own stupidity?
Yeah,
or other people?
Hey, I've added my share onto the pile,
You're either drowning from your own
but
stupidity
it
or
does
other
get to
people.
be a bit much at times. Next week, what I'll do is I'll come up with some examples of,
Stupidity?
yeah,
Oh,
the
boy.
ultimate human stupidity. We'll come up with some samples
That will be...
to prove
That'll be a long show.
Einstein's point in my life.
That'll be a long show. And at some point, maybe we will try to have people call in, ask us a question, or
Maybe I'll skip next week and call in.
call in sick.
Yep.
I can't come in today. So ask us. Why can't I say that? Ask us a question, or make a comment about the question we asked at the beginning, which at this point I have no idea what it was. So hopefully you'll be able to figure that out and ask us. So,
Okay.
all right,
Yep.
that's it. Thanks. I was gonna have lead out music. I lost the mouse. Help. I don't know. I shut it off. That's why it's not working. Hello.